Welcome back to the Aggborough Unfiltered. This is episode 2. In this episode, we're talking women's football, 3G pitches. We're talking the new teams coming into the National League North. We've got some questions from some fans. And we're also going to be discussing, yet again, a bunch of new signings coming to the Harriers. It's been an exciting week being a Harriers fan, hasn't it, boys? So,
it has, yeah.
Liam, what's your thoughts about Cam Candola just re-signing for us?
Well, I think it's a great move for the club. I think from the signings from the last couple of days, I think the back three's sort of coming into the light, or potentially what will be the back three for the season. So I think it's looking quite strong. I'd say it's the strongest we've had for a good 5 years. So I'm looking forward to. I mean, defence was a major issue last season, but I think we're looking even more solid as it stands.
I think as well, like you mentioned last week, like Caleb being Mr. Reliable.
Yeah.
Well, one of Caleb's weaknesses, if he had anything, and it was his height.
Yeah.
He wasn't particularly the biggest fella, but actually we're signing some really strong big blokes, aren't we?
I think our defence were small often compared. I think Kyle Morrison was solid generally, so we benefited when he came in.
Yeah.
But he wasn't massive, and I think having taller defenders, I think it imposes something on attacking. On the opposition's team striker coming in, your bigger defender.
I think there's this whole thing of actually before you've even stepped on the pitch, you've already won a battle, haven't you?
Because that's right. Yeah.
I remember last year looking across the field sometimes and thinking, my gosh, where are we going to win those battles in the air?
That's right, yeah.
Like
totally.
Some of them blokes,
Totally.
I thought they're going to run through our younger, smaller lads.
That's right.
Especially when you look back to guys like Peterborough Sports, if you look at their back four, including Michael Gash, I mean, the height comparison was quite amazing, really.
Yeah, it was a bit like David and Goliath sort of looking at
it. Cam Candola as well. I like him. I think he's good. I think he got injured, didn't he? He came back right at the end, and he didn't quite look up to speed, I don't think. But I think a clean season, bring him in. He knows the club now. He'll be playing with new players, generally, but I think it's a good signing.
It feels like a real fresh squad.
Oh, massive.
There's a fresh start, there's a fresh buzz coming into the Harriers this year, and obviously we've signed Amika Roby as well, and Jordan Tunnicliffe as well. So and Tunnicliffe was with us before, wasn't he? He did well. Then he went. Did he go to Fylde when Adam was there and he got promotion? I think he did, didn't he?
Yeah.
And
2017, I think that was.
Yeah. So he's a championship winning player at the end of the day.
He's 31, and I don't think that's old now. Like you've got. Hopefully, you might have a few seasons at this level. A decent football.
Do you know, this week, I actually was down at Cozy this week. I was meeting somebody and took them down to Cozy, which is where the training ground and everything is. And this guy works with the FA, goes around a lot of grounds. He said to me, I have not seen a training facility as good as this outside of League Two.
Brilliant.
And he said, really, some League One clubs haven't even got this. So he said, so really, you're talking about as well, like a 31, if he can keep himself fit. And the reason I mention that is more because we've actually got a phenomenal facility for these guys to keep fit.
Yeah.
They're training every day. They're not part-time. Yeah. These are fit. These are athletes we're talking about at the end of the day. So if he can keep himself fit, if we can get Alex Penny back, he's like a free signing.
Yeah, that's right.
He's another big lad as well, isn't he? And he's a beast when he's on the
move. If he's fit and he comes back, that, as you say, it's a free sign. It's like a new player.
Yeah.
Because he was out most of last season.
Yeah, absolutely. Listen, some good signings. We're really excited about what's going on with the team. It's worth mentioning as well. It's Mr. Kidderminster himself, not Amari, but the other Mr. Kidderminster. Got himself another award this week, didn't he?
Yeah. So was he voted National League North Player of the Season, and he was the top scorer.
Yeah.
And he was voted for, wasn't that voted for by the other teams?
Yeah, I think so.
His peers, effectively. So that's a great accolade. And you can't knock what he did last season. 30 odd goals, just amazing, isn't it? And I think it's good. Hopefully we get another season like that.
Yeah, definitely.
But he deserved the plaudits, and didn't he make he made team of the season? I saw it on a graphic thing. So
I think he did.
Well done, Ashley.
Yeah, Liam, what do you think? Do you think he's going to have another prolific season this year, or is that just more of a hope?
I think so. A lot of people are ranting about him this season, but if you look back, I mean, some people on social media will say the season where the National League he didn't really live up to expectations. But you got to think the 5 or so years since he's been here, he's never been far off our best player of the season really. And again, he's one of those players that often sometimes goes unnoticed. Whereas his off the ball movements, we see it quite often in the East, and his off the ball movements often drags 2 defenders with him, and that gives other players opportunities.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think like we've said already, we're signing a lot of younger players. Signed some players, and we'll talk about this maybe later, who have come from the National League South into the North to have another leader, an experienced leader and a voice in that dressing room, not just somebody who's... Because again, Ashley's won promotion. Amari's won promotion with this team in this town. So these guys are... they're experienced, they know it. We call them Mr. and Mr. Kidderminster. And you know... Actually, we need those voices. Adam will require those voices within that group as well.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
I think actually he fits the profile of player that Adam wants, and that's somebody who's probably quite creative at times. Definitely can be aggressive in his play.
Goes forward.
Yeah, be aggressive in his play. But actually, also Ashley's not frightened of coming back, is he?
Yeah, that's right.
You can see him track back and tackle at times as well.
That's right.
And we want to see that in our squad really as team players. But, you know, it's not just the men that have been signing players. We said last week, women, at the end of our podcast last week, you know, the Aggborough Unfiltered isn't just for blokes. We're going to be talking a lot, probably prominently, about the male team, and we know that there's a larger following. But we also just want to highlight the fact is the Harriers is a community club. We've got an amazing women's team that we're going to touch on in a minute. We've got phenomenal kids and youth teams. We've got a community team that go out and do stuff with other things in schools and other places. But, you know, the women last year, what a season.
Amazing.
Men stand up and take note of what happened.
Yeah.
What were we? County champions?
Yeah.
And league champions, Liam.
Absolutely. Yeah, so we've got promoted, which is a great thing. What I've liked about the women's team this season is more than seasons have gone by. They've been allowed to play at Aggborough, and that adds a whole new level of getting more people engaged. Because those games advertise, and I went to one when we beat Starbridge. I mean that was quite a result. So it was good to see a lot of young families in the crowd. So it's all about building momentum and that fan base for the women's team, as we're seeing across the country at the moment.
Yeah, it's good. And actually, the accessibility of the women's game is far greater now than it's ever been before. And for us to have a women's team is something that we should advocate and we should shout from the rooftop.
Totally.
And actually, a championship winning team is phenomenal, isn't it? Really.
I did read something. I think I'll say this now. People can shout me down, comment if you want to. That this season they're going to be playing at Droitwich.
I think they are, yeah.
And then they're doing something at Cosy for the next season. So whether they're building a stadium or like a better facility to play games, I'm not sure.
But at Cosy, I don't know if you've been down there. Yeah, you probably have been. So there's 14 pitches down there, and a lot of people don't realise how big a facility is. It's actually. I having been to other facilities myself, just through work and stuff, it is probably one of the best facilities. I was meeting with this guy last week, and he was saying it's one of the best facilities outside of like even like League One-ish. It's massive. So I would suspect they're going to look to put a stand or some stuff down there.
Yeah.
Because we have a lot of youth team games down there as well.
Yeah, it'd be brilliant.
I think with Cosy, it gets better season on season since we've acquired that land. I know a few seasons ago Richard Lane invested in an irrigation system which a lot of clubs don't have, and therefore an issue for a lot of clubs is a lot of pitches at training grounds, whereas that's not likely to happen for us. And we could talk about transfers for Adam as well. I'm sure they get shown around that training ground, and for a lot of those players it's probably the best facilities they'll ever use.
I would agree with that. I mean, I watched a podcast a few or an interview with Sam Allardyce a few months ago, and they said, "How did you sign?" Or do you remember in the late the early noughties, he had that phenomenal team, like Djorkaeff, and the rest of them, and Campo and stuff. And they said, "How did you sign those players? What did you do?" He said, "Well, what I didn't do was take them to the training ground because the training ground was literally a field with a porter shed on it." Yeah. And I can tell you that is not cosy.
Yeah.
But actually, he said, we used to take them to the stadium, and they go, "Wow, this is an amazing stadium."
That's great.
You say in this league, you could take them to the Aggborough, it's an amazing stadium. Yeah. You take them to Cosy, it's even better. And unfortunately for fans, you won't always get to see that. But there was a lot of events going on down there. You can get your kids involved, families in training and academies and all that sort of stuff. And not only that, there's an education centre down there as well.
Yeah.
And maybe in some of the future episodes we'll talk a bit more about Cosy, but let's just highlight there's a couple of signings like we said for the women. So there's Chloe Evans that has joined, and Kira Newell as well, she's joined as well. I can't particularly say I know a lot about them, so I don't want to start claiming that I know a lot about them. What I do know is that Chloe Evans used to play for us, I think.
Yeah, that's right, she's come back.
And she she joined from Sutton Coldfield or something like that, I think.
I think so.
She must be a local girl. And at the end of the day, it's a sign of intent that this club is making early signings.
I think Andy Fisher is obviously doing a good job as manager, and I think is it Matt Guys as well, who's the sort of head of football for the women's game and Kidderminster Harriers. A bit of respect.
Yeah, absolutely.
Fantastic.
Well done, guys.
Well done.
You've created a championship winning team and a cup winning team this year.
Inspiring people,
totally.
Not just women, but inspiring young people in the town. It's fantastic.
Yeah, I actually run a church, and I've got a bunch of young people in my church, a bunch of young women who now want to play football because they were able to go up and see the football. So, kudos to you guys. Thank you so very much for all you're doing.
Absolutely.
And keep going. And we're going to be cheering you on, and we'll be spotlighting some of your stuff that you're doing this year as well. So, it's so good that you were able to play at the Aggborough. You were able to do a few other things. This year sees the sign of not just a new league for the women, but there's also new teams coming into our league in the National League North.
Yeah.
What do we think to those new teams? So we've got a variety of teams, really, haven't we?
Well, I think in this sort of conversation, Macclesfield will always be the first name on people's lips. But to be honest, I'm looking forward for Telford being back in the league. I absolutely love going to Telford. It's not too far away, and I know the away stand is not far from when the players got a tunnel, so it's always a good atmosphere there.
Yeah, it's a nice ground actually for this sort of standard of football. So it's good to go not too fast, like 40 minutes an hour. Some decent scran up there as well, which is always good. We'll talk about some of that in a bit. But
the thing with Macclesfield coming, of course, is it's all about Robbie Savage, isn't it? Ultimately, I mean, fair play to them that he's put money into the club. He's now managing the club, and and it's great for the fans of Macclesfield, where their club had gone, and it's resurrected, and that's brilliant. It will be interesting, because Robbie Savage is you love him or you hate him, don't you, sort of character. I love him. I think, as followed him at Birmingham back in the day. And my nephew is called Robbie.
Oh my gosh.
And my sister, she might watch this, and she wouldn't admit it, but I think the reason he's called Robbie is because of. So
did she fancy him? Did she?
She did, I think.
With those long blonde locks.
Yeah.
Flipping heck. Anyway, moving on from Robbie Watch over here, Robbie drooling over here. I am excited about Macclesfield as well. I think they're almost like our Wrexham, aren't they? I think a few years ago we had Salford when they were coming through the leagues. I remember that with Bernard and whatever the other guy's name was, who was the joint managers. In fact, I remember that game, that flipping comeback. It was like I was stood in the North End with my brother-in-law, and we were like, "Oh, there's no way we're going to lose this or even draw this," and they come back. It was just unbelievable. But I think having those sorts of Hollywood glamour teams isn't a bad thing for our league.
It puts a focus on the league,
correct,
and the football
spotlights it again. And if they do another documentary and we get mentioned, or I wouldn't be surprised if we did, because we will be a big team for them in this league.
I agree.
Yeah.
And we have to recognise, we just talked about having cosy, having great facilities. Yeah. People will come here and go, wow.
Yeah.
Like right. It's a great place to come and play football, and that's why we're signing good players. Yeah. Liam, anybody else who's jumping out? Or what have you got an opinion on Robbie Savage, or you don't care about you?
Well, I was just thinking I would have loved to see him and Phil Brown on the touchline together. I think that would have been quite a spectacle. But yeah, I think they're gonna bring a new element to the league. I think they've clearly got money as well. So they're going to be making some signings if they haven't already. So I think they're going to be there or thereabouts at the top of the league. So I think potentially there could be two very good games between us two.
Yeah, so it could be. That would be one to look out for, really.
Yeah.
And again, Macclesfield doesn't feel that far away, really. It's just north of... It's Buxton way. It's north of Nottingham, isn't it? Really? It's not too bad, really. Who else we got? We've got Merthyr. That's going to be interesting. A Welsh team coming in. I don't know how I feel about that. That's going to be an interesting... I think it's about a 3-hour drive.
It's the unknown, isn't it?
But it could be a great away day, that.
Yeah.
You know,
and I think with this podcast, I say the great thing is we'd love to interact with away fans.
Yeah, definitely.
You know, we'd love to hear.
I think we'd like to take it on the road as well, wouldn't we? It'd be really great to do an away day. We've got the facility to actually do this on the road. So if you want to join us and we'll do a live on the road, we'll have a live audience and you can be here for a live recording. That'd be brilliant. We'd love to do that.
Yeah.
We won't be doing it in Southport on the last day of the season again. We're not going through that.
That's going to be interesting, isn't it? Going to Southport again. It's almost like the scene of devastation. But
I think us guys. I think we almost have to do it just to go and see us win. I think it will. I think it will hamper any trauma we've got still going on.
Yeah, definitely. I think we might need to do that. So we've also got is Bedford coming back into the league as well?
Bedford, yeah.
That's an interesting one as well because they're more southern, aren't they?
Yeah.
So that'd be interesting.
It's that fine line, isn't it? There's obviously that line where you could easily slip into the south. And
well, I think the issue of the south is it's so London centric that the north becomes the North Midlands and a bit of the south because it's just so dominated by London teams.
Well, I think that's because most Cockneys or Londoners think... Well, my sister-in-law, I can say this because my sister-in-law's from Enfield, so North London. She says anything north of Watford is the north.
Oh, it's the north, that's right, yeah.
She was like, when she got married, my brother, she was like, I've never been to the north before. And then she was like, we're not the north, but you've got to go a little bit further afield. But then we have got another really northern team coming in. One that Adam knows quite well, one that we will know quite well is Fylde. They've dropped down and they're coming into the league. Again, a big club.
Yeah.
They've probably got a bit of budget to spend, and they'll be smarting from dropping down. They will want to prove themselves.
Absolutely.
It was only a few years ago that they were at Wembley playing like the likes of Wrexham and other people.
Yeah.
Salford. Yeah. And so we want to stand up and fight those little people and win and show who we are. Kiddie, we shouldn't be rolling over for these or worrying.
No, I think with our fan base and with this infrastructure, full-time team, we should at the very least be playoffs.
Yeah.
And we shouldn't be struggling. But football's a strange game. So you hope that I believe fully in Andy Murray and the signing. So it's going to be an exciting season. So I hope we'll be up there.
You nearly said Andy Murray.
I did. I'm trying not to say Andy Murray.
We don't want a Scottish tennis player. We love you, Adam, and Andy. Thank you, Sir Andy, but stay away from our club unless you're supporting it and want to invest into it. We'll take some. I'm sure.
We'll take your money.
I'm sure Richard Lane would like a bit of your investment into that. So one of the things that I love about this league is the mix of teams that are in it. You've got the full time, the part times, and then you've got these mad stadiums. I just love a traditional old stadium. Yeah. But one of the things I hate is the 3G pitches. I absolutely detest a 3G pitch. Boys, what's your stance on a 3G pitch?
The thing is, it's a different type of football, isn't it? I mean, football's football. You kick a ball, you got to score a goal. We know that, but the ball runs faster. It's harder to tackle. It's because you don't want to tackle as hard. If you play on grass every week like we do, you go to a team like Buxton last year. We went to, and it changes everything.
Yeah, it does.
It changes your game, and you've only got a short time to get ready for that. But then again, every team has to do it as well, so you're not alone.
Yeah.
But the home team has, I think, an advantage. Really.
I think my major issue with 3G pitches is injuries. I mean, we only have to look at Joe Fulks. I think he might have had 2 injuries on 3G pitches over the last few seasons for us, and I think we've all played on a 3G pitch. It's so much tougher on your joints. And I think it's more of a hindrance to us than other teams, I think, in the league, because we actually try and play football.
That's right. Certainly last year it stopped us, didn't it?
Yeah,
definitely.
And the ball just stops on the pitch. You won't get that at Aggborough. We're always quite fortunate for a very good pitch, but I think it's such a different dynamic. And as Stuart said, it gives the home team an advantage.
I think Macclesfield have got a plastic pitch.
Well, I think you probably could be right on that. I'm sure I saw that on their documentary that they were invested in.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. I mean, it'll be good, I'm sure, but...
The thing is about these 3G pitches is what you got to remember is that they're used for other purposes during the week, aren't they? So
community.
It's community. They can go in and they can generate some more cash from it, and they can obviously support the community. But for playing in this league, it definitely changes the way that players want to play. And I think about someone like David Davis, who will cut through somebody at times, and he's a bit of a tank. He probably, because he's played at a higher level, won't go into those tackles full-hearted. He'll be thinking about it, which then means he's probably more likely to cause himself an injury because he's jarring himself a wee bit. So they are dangerous as well, because I mean, if you've ever played down at Baxter or even down at White Forest Leisure Centre and you've slid on those pitches, you come away with a rash on your leg, don't you? And it's not nice.
It hurts.
Yeah, it does hurt, and then obviously this, the Baxter one's probably the closest one that we're going to get to some of those 3G pitches, but they still hurt, mate. And and that Buxton pitch, because it's one of the highest in the country as well, the ball flies around.
That's right.
I think that's where, again, we've talked about earlier, we've got some of these big signings coming in, tall signings, which is a good thing for us. Because last year we missed out because of the height differences. On some of these pitches, it might actually benefit us with a bit of balance.
Hopefully.
But yeah, also just to mention, last year, if you were at the Buxton game, there was plenty of flares going off. There was plenty of argy-bargy and stuff. We do not condone any of that here. We do back the club's stance on it. But like the other thing that I noticed was we were the sort of towards the home fans where the food was being served, because we quite like being near that area.
That was a good place to cook.
And
the toilets.
The toilets and the toilet supplies and food, that's kind of our area. But what the guy who came out to put the flares out, he said, look, what you forget is if you're doing this at the Aggborough or somewhere else where there's a grass pitch, it won't melt your pitch. But it's effectively melting their pitch. And so, again, it's just those things that you don't think about with 3G pitches. And so we just got to be aware of it, haven't we? The funniest thing that happened at Buxton though last year was the. Do you remember the water spray that was going on? It wasn't really spraying the pitch; was spraying the fans.
Keep getting the face full of spray.
I think actually when we look at those 3G pitches, just thinking about it, I think there's about out of those 4 teams coming. It's 4 teams coming into the league, isn't there?
Yeah.
I think out of those 4, there's 3G pitches.
Yeah, which is it ups the amount, doesn't it? And it will be interesting.
What always comes to our mind is if teams are ambitious to go at the leagues, then I don't feel that 3G pitches are the right way forward, because obviously as you go up, you can no longer have 3G pitches. And
well, Sutton had that a few seasons ago, didn't they? When they were National League and they went into the Football League, and they had to get rid of their pitch. And
Harriers as well were another one that had to do that as well.
And that can't be cheap. So
no, it can't be. Well, I mean, obviously, just on Pitch Watch, if any of you want an update on it, my office overlooks the football, the actual Aggborough, so I get to see it. The pitch is coming green. So it's been sand for a couple of weeks, but we're seeing green. It's looking glorious. It won't be long till we're out there, so it's just good things.
Can't wait.
Any away days that you are looking forward to next year, Liam?
I think Hereford's always at the top for me. I think it's always Christmas time, and last season's results, it sort of makes you more excited. I mean, it's always a good game, always good atmosphere. I mean, I hopefully got better toilets this season, and the view's never any good, but it's always good fun. I mean, been there the last few seasons now, and we've been quite fortunate at times, but I mean, it's always good to get one over your rivals and chatting to fans outside the stadium beforehand, and they're very confident.
Jaden White's moved on from them.
Yeah, he's got in the National League.
Yeah, absolutely. So we can't taunt him anymore.
It's interesting, isn't it? Because like last year, a lot of people really hammered him. Like, you're a kiddie reject, you're not this, that, and the other. there are certain players that suddenly get a move and can just jump up a league.
Yeah.
You know, I think he probably could step up there. I think he you know, it's a bit like Ryan Johnson. Ryan Johnson, when he was with us, he was okay. He wasn't brilliant, but then he got his move up north, and now he's at Wimbledon, and he's like, I think he's the club captain or vice captain there, and like, you know, they've just got promotion. He's just played at Wembley, got promotion to League One, and like, fair play to the guy. That's you know, we want players to go on and do well ultimately, because it shines a light back to us as a club. Say, do you know what, we've invested in those.
That's great, players. Isn't it? Yeah, absolutely.
So, yeah, Stuart, what about you? What away day are you looking forward to?
I don't know. I'd like to go. I think I'll probably go to Buxton maybe again. But then there's the new one. I'd like to go to Merthyr, perhaps.
Yeah, that'd be a good one, wouldn't it?
I've not done that. Maybe Macclesfield, just because we can.
Yeah. Would you fancy a bit of hospitality there? I've seen it on the old documentary. It looks very posh up there.
It does, doesn't it? Yeah, it does.
In the old hospitality, all the prawn sandwich brigade up there.
But they, you know, again, credit to them. Yeah, they're building a club from scratch, like Phoenix from the Flames, as they say.
Yeah.
For the fans, and I think that's a great thing, isn't it? So, however they can make money, I think is brilliant for them.
Absolutely.
So, yeah.
BBC, if you want to do a documentary, Sky, anybody else, we're happy to host it, no problem.
That's right, yeah.
Plenty of cash coming into the club.
Disney.
Yeah, Team Disney over here. Yeah. Do you know what I'm really looking forward to Fylde, actually. I think as a new team coming back, or a team coming back into the league, they're close to the coast as well. They're up north.
Yeah, it's good.
It's a long journey,
Yeah.
but it could be a fun journey up there, you know. I'm pretty sure Fylde's, is it close to Blackpool?
Blackpool way,
yeah. Man, we get on the old roller coasters, grab ourselves some fish and chips.
I remember that season a few seasons ago that due to the FA Trophy and FA Cup, I think I ended up there 3 times in one season. and I mean, once upon a time they were a bogey team of ours, but I think the last few times we've played, we've actually got the better of them. So, and I mean, and the club's ran in an interesting way. It's got an interesting owner, so I think that would be an interesting tie.
It will be. It's exciting. We've got some really good things coming in. We are coming in towards the end of this week's episode, but we did have a couple of questions. Do you know that? Do you want to know the first one? It was directed at you, Stuart.
Go on.
It was from Jack. Do you know Jack?
Jack.
He says, "Do you still like baked beans?" Totally non-football related question.
Of course, I like baked beans.
Yeah, man.
I'd live on baked beans.
Oh, big time.
Yeah.
I was at my littlest boy is about to start his first primary school, and we got to taste the school dinners tonight.
Yeah.
And they did a cheese and potato pie, and the head teacher was like, "Try it, it's amazing." I was trying it. I was like, "Oh, it's really good." And she went, "Do you know what's good with that? Baked beans." I'm like, "Oh yeah, that would be." Do you know what? We need baked beans in the Aggborough.
Yeah.
Jack and potato, baked beans at half time. How class would that be? Plenty of cheese.
Well, here's a question. I had this debate in the office the other day. What is your favourite brand of baked beans? Mine are Branston's, but that doesn't go down well.
I found that I will eat any baked bean. Like, I don't mind the cheaper ones, except I had some farm foods only the other day, and I won't be eating them again.
I'm not sure I'd ever. I don't. Wow. I didn't even know they were still open, farm food. I. Do you know what? I'm an Aldi boy. I like a bit of Aldi's own. I'm
perfectly okay.
I work with somebody who will only have Branson, and I try to show him the difference, and he apparently could taste the difference. Not me. I'm a common as much kind of guy, and I will eat anything.
Once your HP sauces on it.
Oh no, not HP sauce, mate. No.
I'm trying to get freebies here.
No, Frank's red hot sauce. We'll take that all day. Anyway, here's on to a football question, because Carl sent in a question, and this comes back to some of the conversation we had earlier. So it'll be good to finish here. Carl asked, "Do you think the players coming from the south can cope with the metal of the north, basically?"
Well, we used to live in Portsmouth and Havant. Went to watch Havant and Waterlooville. And I remember watching them thinking, and having come back to Kidderminster and watching Kidderminster Harriers, the difference is, I think, is quite marked. I think it's a tougher league, the North. I mean, that might have changed, but I think it has.
I think that you're right, because they describe the South as more flair, more tactical, more like skills and stuff like that, whereas up here is more your heavy metal smashing into each other a little bit more. I would suspect that they will feel it a little bit more up here. What do you think, Liam?
Yeah, I think a lot has to say for the teams that have gone up in the last few seasons. Also, I think if you look at the teams that come straight back down the next season, it tends to be the ones from the South division. So I think the North League does put teams in good stead, apart from us, obviously, to stay at the season after. But I think there is quite a quality difference.
It's interesting as well, isn't it? A player like Oxlade-Chamberlain came to us, didn't really do anything really. He wasn't tearing up trees for us. Goes down to Truro, and really Truro probably were not a favourite at the start of the year.
And he played for them.
And he played for them, and he gets them promoted, and they get promoted.
Yeah.
So I don't think that's necessarily down to because he's an absolute worldie, and we've missed out on it here. But actually, sometimes you're a player designed to play in a certain league or in a certain way. And we talked about Jaden White earlier. Hopefully he'll go on to greater things for Jaden. Good luck to you. But I think it does show that, depending on the type of player you are, it would depend on how you succeed in this league up here. But again, it comes down to Adam Murray knowing the league. Yeah. Remember, he's won it with Fylde.
Yeah, totally.
He understands what's required here, and he's not. It's not his first time in this league. A bit like Phil was his. I know he'd managed at Southend. I understood that he'd done a little bit lower down, but it was his first time round in this league.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure he missed a few tricks in the book here along the way.
Yeah.
And I think that Adam has experienced. We've got someone who gets it, don't we? And I also think like Richard Lane will want to get promotion this year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
think it is. You think, as an owner, he's there, isn't he? And I think he's put money into the club. I think we're pretty stable at the moment, because that was my worry in losing. If we didn't get promoted, what would happen to us? But I think Richard Lane has put his money where his mouth is. He's gone through the process and found Adam Murray and taken him on. So we're not left in limbo. We're signing players. We're not as Liam said earlier. We're not waiting until it's player A, B, C, D, or E. We're getting a team.
And Dean Holdsworth, let's just take a moment and say, he's doing a good job. A lot of people slate him, say, does he? I've heard all these rumours. He's not over here. He's in Dubai. He's this, that, and the other. I can tell you, he is working working hard. Having spoke to Adam Murray, Adam was getting calls from him when I was with him. He's working hard, and you can see that every week there's new players coming in. They're building a squad. These guys have been in big teams before and have won things, and they will want to continue to win things. And I don't think it matters at what level you do that; they'll want to do it well.
A winner's a winner.
Yeah, and like you say, Richard's putting his money where his mouth is. So
I don't know if you guys have seen the financial returns on Company's House, but Richard Lane has actually brought more shares in the club this season, so he's clearly committed and willing to put money where his mouth is. So I think he's around for the long run. I don't see that as a bad thing.
Yeah, I don't see it as a bad
That's
thing.
That's great.
Because we talk about these other clubs like your Macclesfields who've had investment and other places, but we forget actually when Richard took it over, we were not in a good place.
Yeah. Well, didn't he pay for players' wages before he even owned the club just to keep them on the books?
Yeah, he was. Richard was like a silent owner, I guess, for a little bit before he really came in, and you could argue he saved the club.
Yeah.
It wasn't going in a good direction, and Colin Gordon, and that's no slight on Colin Gordon, because actually I really got along with him as a human being, and he's a good guy, but I just think if we'd have continued down that path, it wasn't really getting us anywhere.
Yeah.
But we have to look at under Richard in the last 5 years or so, however long it's been under him, probably just slightly less. We've had this successful cup run that ended at West Ham. We've gone on and won the league.
Yeah.
We've had some other success.
We've nearly won the league
again. We've had some memories under and for most football fans, it's a bit like this whole. I was listening to Talk Sport earlier, and they were talking about Ange Postecoglou, whether he should have got sacked or not because they're about to appoint Thomas Frank. And this guy phoned up and said, no, I would have given him an opportunity. He said, well, why? And he said, well, at the end of the day, all we dream of ever is going on a journey, winning some stuff.
That's right. Because if you're a Spurs fan, like I'm not being rude to Spurs fans, but the club has not won anything for years and years and years, and they would say that the outpouring of joy and elation at winning that.
Oh my gosh.
I think Postecoglou should have stayed.
Yeah.
But that's
It's a bit like if we'd have won promotion, we wouldn't be talking about Adam. Because
That's
Phil
right.
would be here,
That's right. Well, you think so, don't
yeah,
you?
we
That's
would
the-
like to think so, and we probably would have. I reckon it would have been a bit cringy, cheesy, but I'm sure we would have had an open top bus or something like that, and the town would have gone wild for it because the mayor had written letters. Everyone's getting excited
Yeah,
because the town needs it. The people
Yeah.
want it. We want this.
that's right.
You know, we're desperate to see success in our town and be reminded that actually Kidderminster can be more than it believes it can be right now. Because
That's right.
actually it can be. It's a phenomenal place to live. It's
Yeah.
we're good. There's good people here. I'm not from Kiddie, but I would class myself as a Kiddie person now.
Exactly.
I'm an adopted Kidderminster person, and
Yeah,
I
me too.
love this town. And I think that ultimately, a football club that goes on a good run in your community reminds the community of how special they are and how much potential there is in that community. And so I'm hopeful that this season, women's team go on an absolutely another cracker.
Yeah.
We see the men's team get promotion this year,
Yeah.
go on a cracking cup run. I just would love to see some stuff happening in and around. I'd love us to unearth another couple of diamonds from our youth team.
Yes, that would be great, wouldn't it? To see like players from within effectively come through. That would be awesome.
It'd be brilliant, wouldn't it?
Yeah,
you
it
know, and who's to say that we won't do that this year? You know,
Yeah.
he is a coach, Adam, isn't he?
Yeah.
First and foremost. I mean, before he came to us, there was rumours he was going to go and follow Ishmael. What's his name again? To Blackburn. He'd followed him
Yeah.
around the world,
Yeah.
pretty much. Because he's such a sought after and well thought of
Yeah.
coach, you know. So clearly he's a coach. Clearly he'll see stuff in players and he'll see the potential. And so hopefully, you know, even the crop of players he's signing, he will make them better.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
You know, so it's good stuff. So that is coming to the end, boys, of our podcast. You got any final thoughts about this week and signings or anything else?
I just can't wait for it to start again. I'm looking forward to pre-season. I mean, summer's always a bit of a long week, looking for things to do on a Saturday, but
Yeah.
it's going to be great to be back at Aggborough.
Good.
Yeah, I think I'm happy to be chilled with it because the end of last season did me in a bit, but I'm looking forward to the new season.
Yeah. You feel like you're emotionally.
Let's have a bit
recovered.
more rest, a bit more rest, and then in. That'd be great, and then we're in.
Good. So we'll be back in a week or two with some more content for you. We'll probably have a guest with us next time where you can discover a little bit more about the Aggborough, what goes on behind the scenes at the Aggborough. We are so grateful that you've chosen to spend the last 20, 25 minutes, 30 minutes or so listening to us just ramble and talk about anything Aggborough and Kidderminster. Listen, have a great week and we'll see you next time.